Authentic Heart blogging and vlogging at www.oneauthenticheart.com. I'll link the website in the link description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. For those of you that might have seen my Instagram post yesterday, I posted from a passage in Exodus chapter 6, and it spoke of the promises that God declares over the Israelites through Moses. Talks about who he will be to the Israelites and to Moses. And I just wanted to dwell on that in this kind of Valentine's weekend. For those of you that weren't asleep all day yesterday, you'll know that yesterday was obviously Valentine's Day, and a day where most people will kind of be reflecting on their love with their loved one, their spouse, their boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it might be, and celebrating with them and having a good time. Maybe some friends celebrating with each other, and just spending time with each other, various things like that. And so it's kind of a commercialized festival, if you want to call it that, but it's something that's quite nice and cute just to celebrate anyway for most people. But some people really don't like it because of maybe their current place in life, whether they're single and something like that they're not happy with. I know there was seasons in my life where I didn't like Valentine's Day, particularly, and what I suppose held me in those times was the promises of God, and the promises of God and who he declares to be for us as his children is something that I think that we can just hold on to all the time. The central theme for this post is just the idea of God's commitment to us as his children, and how little we are to kind of do in that at first. When we're recognizing who God is in our lives, and when we're beginning to realize who he is and looking at his face and understanding the plans and the promises that he has for us, he asks us just to acknowledge that he is God, to acknowledge that he is mighty, and that he yet declares all of these things over us, all of these truths over us. And that is true in this Exodus passage, which I just want to read in a second. So I suppose this video is just an encouragement for us to know that God's love is steadfast. God's love will never let us down. God is faithful. God is secure. He is our rock. And when we place our hope and our trust in him, even when sometimes it seems confusing and it seems difficult, he will never ever let us down. He will never ever let us go. And his love for us is not based on an action that we give and show to him. His love for us is unconditional, and his grace covers us when we don't quite get it right, when our actions don't show that we're thankful for that love. His grace is sufficient. So I just want to read the passage from Exodus really briefly so that we get a bit of context as to what I'm talking about here. So in Exodus 6, verse 6, it says, "Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, with great acts of judgment. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you for a possession. I am the Lord." And so we've counted there 7 I wills. 7 declarations that God promises to give to the Israelites at this point in time, in just a few short verses. And what he says about the actions of the Israelites, the actions of the people in that time, is just one thing. "And you shall know," this is verse 7, "and you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians." So essentially, the only action that the Israelites were to take on for themselves is to know that God was who he said he was. To know that God was God, and that he was their redeemer, he was their rescuer, he was the one that was to bring them out of slavery. But what of the promises of God to us, to his people, to the Israelites here and then? He says that he'll bring them out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. So our burdens, the things that we carry, the things that are too heavy for us, God promises that he will lift them from us. "I will deliver you from slavery to them." Perhaps we're enslaved to a sin, a certain bad habit, to something that we find really, really difficult to break the chains of. but God's the one that promises to remove that burden, to remove that slavery mentality, I suppose, when it comes to feeling like I can't go on unless I do this thing, unless I behave in this way. God can cut that off if it's something that doesn't honor him. God in his power has the ability, of course, because he is mighty and he is God, to remove that, to stop that. He then says, I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. I'll redeem you. I'll save you. I'll be your God. You will be my people, and I'll show you my everlasting love. I want to redeem you and make what was ashes into beauty. That's what God says in his redemption there. I will take you to be my people. He will take us. He'll call us his sons and his daughters. I will be your God. That firm promise. God is God. We don't have to worship and bow down to anything else, to anyone else. It is only God that stands. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. With regards to us, in that instance, it could be a promise of God to bring us out of a particular situation. Perhaps that is, again, a habit. Perhaps that is a job. Perhaps that is an unhealthy environment. Perhaps that is a friendship, a relationship, something like that, that we want God to bring us out of and bring us into something that he's promised us. God's not going to bring us out of something and put us in no man's land. God's going to bring us out of something and put us into something new. And so God promises to bring us out, well, promises the Israelites here to bring them out and to bring them into the promised land. So that makes us think, what is our promised land? What is it that we're hoping in God for? Not that God will always just give us exactly what we want, exactly what we require. He's not a genie. He knows what's good for us, and sometimes we don't see what's good for us even when he does. But he does promise to bring us out of things that are unhelpful and unhealthy for us, environments that are not where we are flourishing and thriving. And if he chooses not to help us in that particular area, which incidentally he could do instead of bringing us out, then he will bring us out and remove us from that area and put us somewhere else. And I just thought that those I wills were such declaration of God's character, such declaration of who he is in spite of us. In spite of our weaknesses, in spite of our failings at times, God is God. And what an amazing truth to behold. What an incredible set of promises to hold on to and to run with. And so I would just say that this Valentine's weekend, this time when some people are not necessarily feeling wonderful, not necessarily feeling the best, hold on to God's promises. Because even for me as someone who is married and had Valentine's or whatever yesterday, these promises are what is more important. These promises are what I am to anchor myself in. I can't anchor my happiness in any relationship, because God is the only thing that is unfailing, completely and totally unfailing. And so we anchor our truth and we anchor our promises, anchor our hopes and our dreams, in God's promises, in the fact that he will do what he promises. He will do what he says that he is going to do. All of those things and so much more. He's a good God. He loves us. He's called us by name, and he has plans and purposes for our lives. And sometimes all we have to do is just to hold on to those things, to trust him even when it seems difficult, and to know that he is God, and watch him do the rest. So thank you so much for watching, and do tune in again for more videos and blog posts over on the blog. And yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Have a great day. God bless.